I'm Junglist. I'm here with American McGee and Ken Wong. We're going to be talking about Alice Madness Returns.
Come now, Alice. It's only a dream.
It's not a dream. It's a memory. And it makes me sick.
After I finished the first Alice and then left EA, I became an independent game producer, moved to Los Angeles. Actually, Ken and I started working together at that point, that's like 10 years ago, on an adaptation of Wizard of Oz, which that project was canceled, but then he and I moved to Hong Kong and worked on a game there. And then while we were in Hong Kong, we started to get to know people in Shanghai. And when we had the opportunity to start a studio based on this American McGee's Grimm project, we thought, you know what, there's a lot of really talented people up there. There's a lot of untapped potential. So we moved up to Shanghai, and yeah, the rest is history.
I'm in hell.
Forget it. Abandon that memory. It's unproductive. Go to Wonderland.
I can't.
Well, the thing that we noticed when we first started going up there was that there was a lot of untapped potential, because a lot of companies in the West had been outsourcing their art asset production to China for many, many years. So what you had was this massive pool of really talented people who were being asked to work on other people's ideas. So when we went up there, we saw that we could bring a team together of people who had a lot of experience but had yet to actually put that together into a development team that was working on its own ideas.
It's a memory. Oh, my Wonderland's shattered.
Yeah, it's been nothing but fun. You know, it's been a challenge, I would say, to make, you know, this game in a foreign city, in a foreign culture. But it's also been extremely inspiring. You know, working with such a great team, building the team up, and you know, making a sequel to such a cult classic.
I'm sailing with a friend.
It's interesting because in the last 10 years we've actually had this continued following and this impact that the original game had on people. So like you go on, you know, Flickr and you see people who are choosing between the traditional cute Alice or the bloody knife-wielding Alice, and it's had this ongoing, lasting legacy.
No, not that.
Don't struggle, Alice. Let the new Wonderland emerge.
It's nice to come back, still have all those fans be there, have all this feedback from 10 years of listening to what they liked about the first game, and then also have a character who's so strong in her narrative and in her story for us to kind of follow on, listen to what she wants, listen to what the audience wants, and then have this awesome team in Shanghai that's been able to bring all that together into a really amazing game.
I'm trapped in my past.
One rule that we had from the very beginning with the production was that everything that we saw in the world had to be a natural extension of Alice as a character and her story. So we created this new sort of lifeline, this new timeline in her life, which started with the death of her family in this horrible fire. That put her into the asylum, and then everything that's happened since then has to be sort of a natural extension of that branch in the story from the original fiction, and that's actually gone into the gameplay as well. I mean, there's a lot of things in the original fiction, like Off With Her Head, which we've now turned into a gameplay mode. There's a giant Alice who stomps around and squishes card guards. We have this really cool 2D side-on presentation, which is actually inspired by sort of Chinese shadow puppet stuff that was really popular during the era when she was alive. So we've been able to draw all the inspiration from her and the books, and then of course from the first game as well. Nothing in Wonderland can exist that Alice as a real character in her real life wouldn't have been exposed to at some point. So we were looking at, for instance, news or music or opera events from that time period that we knew that Alice would have seen were she alive in that period, in that time in London. So all of the things you see inside the game, inside of Wonderland specifically, are things that have flowed through her imagination and manifested themselves in this visual creation of Wonderland.
The possibilities of Wonderland are endless, but you know, at the end of the day, we have all these people, artists and writers and level designers working together on the team. They have to come together and make a cohesive product. So it was important to sort of establish these rules about what kind of Wonderland we wanted to make and who was Alice and what was our dark take on it. On the other side, it was a creative exercise to open our minds to the possibilities of what Wonderland could be. You know, the levels don't have to be flat. They don't need to make sense. Time doesn't need to make sense. We don't have to stick with gravity. And so, you know, there was a lot of experimentation early on to try and break the rules, break the conventions, and kind of surprise ourselves about what this game could be. We were fortunate that we were assigned quite a hefty chunk of the budget to art. So, you know, we planned for a lot of asset production, and we did a lot of preparation about, you know, what locations in Wonderland did we want to see, what kind of things did we want in there, and how can we space that out. And the way that it ended up, it's a real visual feast. You know, early on, when we had very prototype levels, it was a bit hard to see that because we had this concept art and we had a timeline. But when it finally got all into place, you know, you could see everyone in the studio all playing different places of the game at once, and that was Wonderland. You know, you could see the variety, and that made us really happy.
Killing me! Wonderland is destroyed! My mind is in ruin!
Part of our job is to tell the story with the visuals. So, you know, we had some basic documents about the flow of the story, and we had the script, and we looked at other ways about like how can we express Alice's state of mind or what's happening in Wonderland through the art, you know, through the visual motif, through references to Victorian London, through you know, paintings or films that really inspired us and created some really amazing imagery.
Well, there you have it. Alice Madness Returns, coming soon. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.